I finally overcame my sugar addiction for good. Okay. And I know what you're thinking, Stephanie. All right. You're like, what is this? This is not real. So before I, look at this, right? There's a TED talk about a sugar addict in a sugar laden world. Okay.
A lot of people struggle with that. Yeah.
It's a real thing. Sugar withdrawal is like opioid withdrawal, right? How to break a sugar addiction, right? It's bad, right? And so how I found out that I had this challenge started out with, when I was a kid, I was like stuck on public school lunches, right? I think the public school lunches were super processed, right? And there was like sugar in everything. And so I'd notice every time I had a lunch, or even a breakfast, for example.
Food in the States tends to be that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd fall asleep. And I'd be like, why am I the only one falling asleep? So I'm like super sensitive to processed foods. The second piece was every afternoon, at 1 p.m., 2 p.m., like I just like need to go nap. And I'm like, what? Why me, right? And then dry mouth, like this need constantly to like drink water, overhydrate, and like, what is going on here? So this happened like for years, right? And I didn't really.
Blood sugar was crashing.
Blood sugar was crashing. Super sensitive to like spikes, right? And blood sugar and insulin resistant, right? Having too much sugar in your body is like, it's kind of almost poisonous, right? Toxic, right? And so Dr. Ryan kind of helped me out. How I got it, the official diagnosis. He gave me a blood test, and I got it back, and obviously. The primary care practitioner was like, oh, you're fine. But he was like, hey, wait a second, like you're actually at risk for something called pre-diabetes. I'm like, well, diabetes, like what the heck? But what is that, right? And
that's
so
an issue when you go to your GP. I mean, they'll tell you you're in range, but nothing more specific than that. I mean, what could you improve on? Yeah.
Right. It's like, why am I falling asleep after eating like, simple, like, processed foods, right? It was like, what, why? And Dr. Ryan was like, you have a sugar addiction. And I was like, what? I'm addicted to no, not me, right? And I thought, hey, not me, because I didn't think that like what he was saying was correct. Like there are pathways in the brain that may light up, similar to like an addict, opioid addict, right? Somebody addicted to a substance, it lights up, right? And so you go to McDonald's, like they put sugar in the buns, hypothetically, apparently, and they put sugar in the ketchup. Like everything has sugar, right? It's a glut. And so I learned that my family has diabetes on my father's side, so I'm mixed, right? So my family on my father's side has diabetes everywhere, and it's like so bad. For me, it was really important to kind of nail like this process of controlling it. It's almost like poison in your brain. When you have too much sugar, right, you can't think as clear, right? You're not as lucid, and you just really don't move or maneuver very well. And
how long did it take for you to start seeing? Is it something where you cut out sugar, you'll immediately start feeling better? Or is it something that of course, a long-term habit you want to develop?
That's a good point. So one, you get a reality check from Dr. Ryan or somebody like him that tells you, hey, look, you have a problem, right? The second piece was I saw a talk from Peter Thiel, and he's very controversial venture capitalist. And he was saying he doesn't eat sugar, right? And then I noticed all the partners of my firm in the growth equity space, they never ate sugar. I'm like, what's going on here, right? So the observation of the partners and the test from Dr. Ryan caused me to stop and be like, hey, I need to cut out sugar. So it's really tough for me to cut out sugar because it's so habitual, it's everywhere, right? So the first point was like how to really break that habit was throw out any candy bars, like just get rid of anything sweet, like just no to donuts, like nothing, right? And the second piece was I just kind of flipped a switch in my brain where I was like, you hear that story, Stephanie, like if you smoke a cigarette, you take 7 days off your life, right? I thought to myself, hey, I eat a piece of sugar or a candy bar, I'm going to die. Like I'm going to have 10 days less of life, right? That's kind of a mental switch I did. And also making it difficult, like not only not having it at my home or not having it at the office, or just saying no, like was helpful, but like deleting DoorDash. I deleted DoorDash like Monday through Friday and just added it back on like, Saturday cheat day, right? But just simple things like that made it difficult for me to kind of even think about it, right? But yeah, I mean, it kind of reminds me of just like we're all fighting our own internal battles, but having the right advisors and data and kind of guidance and network can really help you solve it for good.